Power Breakfast. Top talk of the morning.
The time is 7:13, and with us this morning, investigative journalist from News24, and quickly becoming a friend of this show, Jeff Wicks. Thank you so much for joining us this morning to do a little bit of a deep dive and an understanding of the timeline and the series of events around this arrest that's related to the DJ Sumbody murder and the many different pieces of the puzzle that seem to be coming together there. Jeff Wicks, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Welcome to Power Breakfast.
Thank you for having me, Tessa, and glad to know I'm quickly becoming a friend of the show.
Yes, I get happy when I see your name on my screen because I know that we're going to get some really good deep dives into these kinds of complex stories. So the police feel that they now have the mastermind in custody. What gives them that confidence?
Well, I think this is a case that stretches back months, if not more than a year at this point. And this has been an investigation which has been ongoing since the 17th of April, 2024. And that was the day that Armand Swart, a man who worked at a Vereniging factory, was assassinated. And that is essentially the genesis of this scandal, what has become something that has reached into the political arena and has become nuclear. But in order to understand it, we need to understand that everything started in Vereniging in April last year.
Okay.
That case opened the door to all of these other assassinations because the guns and the alleged hitmen in that matter have now been linked to other crimes. And that's why this keeps expanding into our public discourse.
And so there's talk about the gun being having been used in multiple murders allegedly. What are the links here, and who are the role players?
So Brigadier Atlinda Mate yesterday outside court went on record and said the guns have been ballistically linked to at least 10 high-profile assassinations. And that's the basis point. But that also is not new information. We covered the bail application of Katiso Molefe, who's the alleged mastermind. The alleged triggermen are a former cop, Michael Puletau, and then Musa Kekana and Plejo Floyd Mabusela. And they're the core group that is sort of the common denominator across these attacks. And this is where the matter starts, and we've seen it reach into, the arena of Katie Molefe and also Vusimuzi Kat Maklala, who are the supposed paymasters behind some of the hits executed by this group. And now their proximity to politicians has been drawn into sharp focus.
And this, Jeff, when I saw Vusimuzi Kat Maklala's name come up, of course, my mind immediately went to 2 weeks ago, Sunday, when General Mkhwanazi did that big, explosive allegation around the political killings task team. And one of the things that he said, as the commissioner in KZN, he was being drawn into the work that was happening in Gauteng. And of course, all of this that we're talking about in this story is playing out in Gauteng. Is there a possibility that this is all linked to the political killings task team that Mkhwanazi was talking about that had been shut down and those 121 dockets gone missing? Is this related in any way to those explosive allegations?
I think it's linked. I think the narrative sketched by Mkhwanazi was that elements of the political killings task team had been seconded to help SAPS units investigate Molefe and others as regards the Vereniging case. And then they became part of a political game. And if you understand his narrative, he's saying that the political killings task team was essentially collateral damage because they got too close to underworld figures who then exercised political sway to get them disbanded. So the political killings task team is central to this matter. Whether or not Mkhwanazi's narrative that they were disbanded for this reason holds true obviously remains to be seen. But what we do know is that figures like Vusimuzi Kat Maklala and Katiso Molefe have links to politicians, influential ones. And I think that's where the sting comes in this entire scandal is to what extent has the political arena been tainted or infiltrated by underworld actors and organized crime figures? Does money flow between the two parties? And these are things that the Commission will have to drill down into, and I hope the terms of reference encompass this. Because, I was listening to your prelude, and you were talking about the bereft nature of our political class. This too speaks to that.
And so yesterday when Katiso Katie Molefe is arrested and we then find a politician on site, that definitely also then plays into this, so that if it is linked to what Mkhwanazi is talking about, then the idea of who the politicians are who may be part of what you call the political games that Mkhwanazi was trying to flag that are afoot may be far beyond just the ANC here.
Absolutely. I mean, when Katie Molefe was arrested, Kenny Kunene was at his house. He was there supposedly to escort a journalist to do an exclusive story that they witnessed firsthand and then ignored. So that rings somewhat hollow. I'm not sure if Kenny Kunene touched on Power FM when he did his media tour yesterday, but I think we need to talk about the politicians that have been linked to the scandal.
Yeah.
So Senzo Mchunu is obviously in the fray. He denies any association with Vusimuzi Kat Matlala, and certainly we've seen no direct evidence of that. What we do have direct evidence of is a relationship between Bheki Cele and Kat Matlala. Bheki Cele spent 2 wonderful evenings or at least 2 evenings in Vusimuzi.
Yeah, you can't know whether they were wonderful or not, Jeff. You weren't there.
Oh, well, I mean, I've seen the penthouse. It's incredible. Anyone would be lucky to stay there.
Gotcha.
That remains that.
Gotcha.
And then Kenny Kunene now finds himself in proximity to Mr. Molefe. So these are the political links we know now. Will there be more? I'm sure there will be.
Sure. And just to close that loop about where Vusimuzi Matlala comes into the story. And so you have Tao, Mabusela, and Kenana, who are alleged to be the hitmen, because, of course, Molefe is said here to be the mastermind. But they, at least Mabusela and Kekana, are co-accused in a attempted murder case that Vusimuzi Matlala is currently in jail for, correct?
Correct. So Mabusela and Kekana are accused of being part and parcel of the attempt on Vusimuzi Matlala's former lover, Tebogo Tobejane, in October of 2023. So again, the guns and the alleged hitmen become the common thread across all of these attacks. And going on the strength of what the police had to say yesterday, there will be more to write about this.
I mean, we're also talking about 10 potential high-profile cases that Alena Mate as well was citing yesterday as this all being linked into. So we don't even know who those 10 high-profile cases refer to. So there may be a much deeper unraveling or bigger unraveling here. Because what would make something a high-profile case? Are we looking here at who the persons are who are perpetrators or who the persons are who are victims?
One would assume that they're the victims, but she's set us on the trail yesterday, and what we find will soon be in the public domain.
And so we will be looking out to hear more about that. How do you expect that outside of the political sideshows, because there is now a political sideshow here with Kenny Kunene, Gayton McKenzie now sacking him, the DA calling for Dada Morero to sack him entirely and replace him completely, and using this as a moment to signal that perhaps there's a thuggery that has been brought into the city of Joburg. Besides those political sideshows, what should we expect and be looking out for in terms of the judicial process and the next steps?
Well, I think I agree with you. The political sideshows are just that. We've been investigating Matlala and Molefe for many months now, and we'll continue to expose their links to people in power. And, this commission can't come soon enough. I've said it before that the police require meaningful reform, and it's reform that has never been forthcoming because it's been an organization in perpetual scandal since the days of Jackie Selebi. This commission, if it does its work well and promptly, is the first opportunity really for change in this setting, which South Africans need and deserve.
Yeah, and the one thing I've said that the president has done right here is I think this commission of inquiry is absolutely necessary. I think other things are necessary too. I think utilizing other investigative tools like the SIU and other instruments that are a lot more active is necessary. But the one thing that commissions of inquiry do is it allows us to get to detail that might be hard to get to in the public domain. So we'll be looking out for that. But thank you so much, Jeff Wicks, for joining us there, investigative journalist at News24.